So the city council on Thursday voted 10-3 in favor of the override, allowing rideshare companies to be paid the local minimum wage of $15.57. This is misleading. This is extremely misleading because they're claiming that this model is equating to $15.50, right? We're about to see the truth. This is blatant bad math. They passed it the day before the state was set to release their study on driver income. I'm gonna pull up a ride that I took in my market, and then I'm gonna apply their numbers to my ride to see how much I would have been paid instead. We'll see if it's more, we'll see if it's less. So the estimated hourly income, assuming, they pick up back-to-back rides, it's a perfect world, life is great. That would be Lyft emailed a bunch of people in Minneapolis, telling them that they're pulling out. So I want to first read that letter to you. It says, "We're leaving Minneapolis. Despite our efforts and your support, the Minneapolis City Council passed an ordinance that would make rides on the Lyft platform unaffordable for the majority of Minneapolis residents. This drastic drop in rides means the thousands of drivers who rely on the platform for earnings will ultimately earn less, creating an unsustainable situation for customers." I've observed how society works with wage changes and things like that, and I'm not 100% against government intervention when it comes to wages. There needs to be some form of protection, and I think that is important. I think it's a sliding scale. I think the more we mess with the economy, is the more negative could come from that. So based off of what I understand about how economics works, and economics is a complicated thing. I don't have an economics degree, so this is just my opinion. If you increase the price of rides too much, it's going to disincentivize passengers from taking it. That's just one negative. They do have a public transportation system. I did read online that it's not that great, and there are some security concerns, but people are going to start weighing those security concerns versus taking rides. So that's just one thing right there. We've seen this happen in Seattle, and I covered it in a previous video, and drivers in Seattle are complaining that with this new minimum floor, is what they call it, they're making more money per active hour, but they're having a lot less activity. Right? Even restaurants said that their orders have decreased by over 50% when it comes to food delivery after the new law went into effect in January. So there are real ramifications that happen as a result of this. So when Lyft is saying this drastic drop in rides means the thousands of drivers who rely on the platform for earnings will ultimately earn less, there's some truth to that. However, we also need to keep in mind that it is in Lyft's best interest to say that. As a result, starting May 1st, Lyft will be forced to stop offering rides in Minneapolis, and you will no longer be able to request rides with Lyft that start or end in the city. Currently, Uber says they're just pulling out of the entire market. They said, all right, you do you, bye. It says, we'll continue to advocate for rideshare policies in Minnesota that create sustainable solutions that work for both drivers and riders. So yes, this story will cover some of the things we just spoke about, but it's written March 16th. It's going to produce some more updates on the information. Lyft and Uber will stop offering services in Minneapolis on May 1st after the city council override the mayor's veto of a minimum wage for rideshare drivers. So if you're just tuning in to this story, you don't really know what the background, this has been going on for about a year. The governor vetoed a law last year saying, hey, let's pump the brakes. Let's commission a study. And then based off of that study, let's decide where we want to move forward. And then the mayor Frey, when the city council proposed the current thing that just got passed, he vetoed it again. But in Minnesota, the way it works is, I guess once the mayor vetoes something, the city council can come back and overturn that veto, which I think is fair, right? I might disagree with what the city council did, right? And like the amount of pay they want for drivers. But I think that system is a cool system to have in government where there's the checks and balances at the local level. Mayor Frey vetoed it. And to be clear, Mayor Frey, he does support increased minimum wage, but his thought of what is reasonable, which I think is reasonable as well, is pretty good. And, you'll see as we read through this story. But the city council on Thursday voted 10-3 in favor of the override, allowing rideshare companies to be paid the local minimum wage of $15.57. This is misleading. This is extremely misleading because it is not that. It's a lot higher than that. Lyft said in a statement, the bill was deeply flawed and the ordinance makes its operations unsustainable. We support a minimum earning standard for drivers, but it should be done in an honest way that keeps the service affordable for riders, said a Lyft spokesperson. Uber said in a statement obtained by CNN that it's disappointed the council chose to ignore the data and kick Uber out of the Twin Cities, putting 10,000 people out of work and leaving many stranded. So when the council passed the ordinance, they passed it the day before the state was set to release their study on driver income. So they knew what they were doing. They're like, nah, we're not gonna wait for this study. We're not gonna wait for more information. We're just gonna go and do this thing. And to me, as someone who tries to be impartial, tries to be logical, tries to be fair, I think it's a good idea to make decisions based off of accurate information. You know, if you want accurate solutions, you have to have accurate data. So I think it was fair to wait. They didn't want to wait, and they used data that was like unproven. They used their own data. The ordinance mandates rideshare drivers make at least $1.40 per mile and 51 cents per minute within Minneapolis. However, the analyst Frey referred to showed lower numbers at 89 cents per mile and 49 cents per minute to make minimum wage. Let's do, I wasn't planning on doing this, but let's do, I'm gonna pull up a ride that I took in my market, and then I'm gonna apply their numbers to my ride to see how much I would have been paid instead. We'll see if it's more. We'll see if it's less. So under the first pay structure, you would have made $11.29, while the second structure would have paid you $17.65, which is significantly higher. So I made $10 in my market on this ride. And what the mayor wants to give them would have paid them more than I made in my market. Now, what they want would have paid them $7.65 more. So here's what I want to do next. How much would the second structure work out to in dollars per hour and per mile? Let's see what that works out to. Well, we know the per mile, per hour, because they're claiming that this model is equating to $15.50, right? We're about to see the truth. So the estimated hourly income, assuming, you know, they pick up back-to-back rides, it's a perfect world, life is great, that would be $43.60 per hour. That's a far cry from the $15.50 per hour that they're saying. And again, don't think of this as me saying that we shouldn't do anything to increase driver pay, but this is blatant bad math. Do you think that arbitrarily increasing how much drivers make won't have any negative impact? Like, at what point will they be negative? It's impossible, right? You can't sit here and say we should pay drivers $100 per mile. It wouldn't work out. Something would have to break somewhere. And I'm asking you guys to really think. Do you think this could break the system enough to where drivers won't be able to earn the amount of money they think they could make? If you want to show your appreciation for me being on top of important news and getting it to you in a way that matters as quickly as matters, please hit the thumbs up on this video and please consider subscribing. Thank you.